Hello everybody and welcome back to the NLC 2023 summer season. My name is Wida and I am your host for the show today. And by my side, I will be joined by two lovely casters here. You know, one of them from yesterday, another one for the previous season. Middlecut and Rudude, how are you doing? Middlecut, yesterday we had some bangers. What are we saying today?
Hopefully more. A couple of results going the way that we didn't necessarily expect yesterday, which has kind of been the trend for the NLC so far.
Rudude? Oh, did he do the thing?
And when those 2-0 teams went up against the 2-0-2 teams, they absolutely upset expectations, showed that this season, this league could be a lot closer than we potentially expect coming into the week.
You're talking about 2-0 and 1-2 teams, etc. So let's look at the standings here and see how they panned out after yesterday, because as you're talking about, some mixing and matching going on here. Verdant, very surprisingly, taking a loss here. Also, we saw Ruddy pick up their first win. Same thing for Nord. So standings getting closer again here now. We kind of were expecting someone to kind of take a little bit of weight, creating a gap to the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're not in a position where we could have all the teams be on 2-2 coming through at the end of the day. The schedule hasn't quite worked out like that. So there is going to be a little bit of stratification in terms of the standings, but that means you're just going to have to tune in next week when it's all going to bunch up again.
And then we get 3-2 teams and 2-3 teams right back again. It's going to be as close as possible for as long as possible. We'll end the season 7-7 with an 8-way tiebreaker.
Please no.
Actually, I think I'm working that day. No, thank you.
Let's take a look at the games that we are going to be watching today here. So as you can see, we're going to be starting out with Nativz versus Domino, Fourth Wall versus Nord, Unique Esports versus Ruddy Esports, and Vernier versus Verdant to close out the day here. So let's quickly dive into the match of the day here, which is going to be Nativz versus Domino. And Middlecut, you have prepared a little bit of a segment here of why we should care about this match.
Yeah, so I think that the main reason that we should care about these guys is not necessarily for what is just happening to them this split. It's what they sort of didn't achieve in the previous split, right? These were a couple of our bottom three teams, Nativz only picking up a single win, so already beating their total from the previous split, and I'm sure that with the roster they've put together, with how strong that they've looked, they're going to be picking up even more wins. Similar thing for Domino as well. Bit of a lower tier rebuild, but definitely a team that needs to be feared by those in the NLC.
And I think that it is that comparison, the pullback from, okay, they were so low down in the standings last time versus already being as high as they are. The difference between spring and summer has really rejuvenated these two teams and the organization specifically. The fact that this is our match of the day is a complete contrast from what we would have seen in spring, and goes to show that the NLC is something that we're trying to develop, and that we've got these people that are making strides in the correct direction.
Absolutely. So someone also kind of making the strides in the right direction in our second game of the day here is going to be Nord. They picked up their first win yesterday. They're going to be playing against Fourth Wall. Middlecut, quick little primer for that one.
So Omen is here. He had a rough week one, a lot of deaths, some a little bit more necessary and unforced than others, but immaculate performance from him on the RE yesterday. 9, 3, and 6, getting the kills, getting the assists as well. Indecision coming alive in the mid game, so that's really what Nord have got in their favor. But I think on the other side, we need to be respectful of their opponents today, because they're not slouches here, Fourth Wall. Yes, it's been pretty rough for them, but we know that there's talent on this roster, particularly Blink in the bot lane. I want to see this guy get fed, and I want to see Fourth Wall protect him, push that through for a win.
And Rudude, I'm going to throw to you here. The next matchup is going to be Unique versus Ruddy here, the third match of the day here. Talk to me about this, because we saw that Ruddy had their first win yesterday after a bit of a slow start to the season. Can you kind of take us through, are we expecting them to pick up a 2-0 week here?
I think it will be difficult. I wouldn't put it past them. I genuinely think that coming into today's predictions, I had the hardest time predicting all of these games than I have any day since, particularly with Ruddy playing so well yesterday. So there's a lot to be said for a 2-0 week here for Ruddy. Obviously, they started out 0-2, wasn't the expectation that we had coming in for them, and I think that Unique are a good benchmark for how strong a team is. We've seen Rusty Sniper come into the league and be very impressive down in that bot side, and we know that this matchup against Toaster specifically in that bot lane is going to be a real litmus test because Rusty, a much more new AD carry. Toaster, obviously, reputation precedes himself as to how experienced in the ERLs that he is. So, going to be excited to see how that bot lane specifically goes, and I couldn't call it either way.
Yeah, and that's kind of also going to be something that's going to be talking about in the final game of the day here, Milcott, right? With the experience versus kind of newer to the scene AD carries, right? With Verdant versus Veneer, Gooby versus Liam Cole. We talked about him, Liam Cole, that is, in terms of his matchup against Unvoxner yesterday, but how are we feeling about this matchup of him against Gooby? Gooby that had a horrible time. I think it's not a horrible game, he just had a horrible time. He was not allowed to play League of Legends yesterday.
It fundamentally just didn't enjoy it. I mean, like, when you're playing against, like, Nocturne Ari as an AD carry, you kind of just go, yeah, this is going to be rough for me. But like you said, I think bot lane matchup is going to be very, very important here, right? We've already had this sort of battle of the Danish AD carries in our previous matchup with Liam Cole going up against Envoxne. Now he's going up against Gooby, who, despite having a rough showing, we still know that he's a phenomenal talent down in the bottom lane.
Absolutely. Probably the best AD carry to a lot of people in this league, right? I think that's kind of was the moniker that he picked up going into the season.
You're saying that, not me?
Yeah, those are some big claims.
I'm saying that someone said that, right? When we look at the tier list stream. I was not a part of the tier list stream. And
Were
also,
they on Twitter or in Twitch chat, perchance?
I think they were on NLC LOL, to be completely honest. But speaking of people that are on screen here, let's look at the predictions of what we are talking about going to happen today. Because, Rudy, you said you had a hard time. So why did you have a hard time making these predictions?
I think this first matchup is, obviously, with it being match of the day, very difficult to call. Domino have been really exciting for a roster that I didn't expect as much as I did for Nativz. Nativz haven't shown me everything that I wanted to see from this roster just yet. I think the Spuda-Shikari matchup might just swing this, and I'm putting that way because I can see Aragon and Hitbrain, very high opinions of Spuda, and I think rightly so, have predicted Domino. And then again, like I said, the third match of the day specifically, also very difficult for me to call. I think that all four of these games are actually going to be fairly close. I like what Veneer have put out thus far. Yes, they're 1-2, but Verdant showed that they could bleed yesterday. So across the board, difficult predictions, and you can see, I would say this is the highest variance that the caster desk has had all throughout the split.
Yeah, and also, I sort of, adding to what you were saying there, I don't think it's without reason, right? I don't feel like there are any real troll predictions going on here. I think you can make arguments either way in pretty much all of these matchups.
Absolutely, and also a very important thing that we haven't talked about, guys. Right? This is the selection of the most premier and most smart predictors on the entire broadcast crew.
True. All joint first. Well done, us.
How has that happened? That's worrying. That's genuinely very worrying, actually.
The host and a play-by-play ahead of like all but one of the color casters. Yeah, that not necessarily going to be the most bringing with confidence here. So let's kind of head back into the first match that we are going to be talking about. Again, we talked about this other matchup today. Domino versus Nativz here. And now kind of talk a little bit about how I want to see a little bit more from Clover7 in his laning phase, for example, because we've seen his skirmishing, his ability to look for flanks, like his mechanics, they're all there. He's an excellent player, but if Domino wants to have a stronger early mid game, does Clover7 need to step up his laning phase, Rudu?
I'll say a little bit, and I think that specifically when pairing up with Shakale, because Shakale's been a highly sought after jungler in my eyes, at the very least, since he joined the league, came in as a substitute for Domino at the midway point of spring and put a sort of reputation about himself as being a jungler to get things done and somebody to keep your eyes on. I think if him and Clover7 specifically can link up, if they can utilize mid priority just a little better, unlock Shakale's capability to go do an invade, go find a gank, that's a real route to success that Domino can use.
I mean, this is something that I was actually talking with Clover7 about. I got the chance to have a chat with him, and he was saying that he really likes metas where you can play with this sort of mid-jungle pairing, and he thinks that this is a meta where you can do that. So I think, sort of like you're alluding to, Rudu, that is going to be something that sort of comes to the forefront, hopefully, for Domino fans in their upcoming games.
And also, like, in this matchup specifically, you have Vladi and Stefan. That's a mid-jungle duo that has spent a lot of time together, right? Like, this is their second or third split together as a duo. Obviously, it's a little while ago, but that's a lot of synergy. And as Clover7 pointed out, this is one of the metas where you can really get a lot of stuff done with that combination middle cut.
Yeah, and it's also a sort of young mid laner going against another young mid laner. It's really weird talking about Vladdy because he has a guy who's kind of been around, right? He was in the NLC last year. He's been to EU Masters multiple times, but this guy's only 17, and so we've got these sort of young talents here in the mid lane butting heads against each other. One with a lot more experience, and you would imagine a lot more of these competitive fundamentals down, especially when you look at pairing him alongside a jungler like Stefan, who just knows how to get it done. That makes this 2v2 in the mid lane a really, really interesting point for this this matchup overall.
Yeah, and with that being said here, we have our picks and bans ready, so Middlecut and Rudu take that away.
Yes, thank you very much, Vita, as we are jumping in for the first game of the day. And Rudude, I've not been surprised by anything hitting the ban table just yet. 2-Axis Draven and the Olaf taken away from Domino, and Zeri Nico banned on red side. Welcome to 13.11.
Yep, and I think that this is going to be Spoot. Oh, yes. Mwah. The Spooder ban central. Yesterday he was on interview saying, right, he's trying to start pulling Cassante bans. The Olaf has been one that he's had the entire split. Cassante has been his second best champion by default, just because it's the one that he's been playing, the one that he's been finding solo kill after solo kill, outplay after outplay rather, and just needs to get banned away from him. So double bans focused towards Spooder on that top side, and I think that this top lane matchup is actually something that I really want to hem in on if it's an interesting matchup, because Shikari versus Spooder, a matchup that we've not seen specifically, but one that can very easily turn the tide of this game.
And you think about the way that both these teams have been setting up as well. Denvoxday, known as this guy that can play stuff like the Seraphine, so we could have this weak side bot situation emerging for both teams, and we really get some brawling going on the top side. And for me, that's going to make me ask, what's the third champion here for Spooder, right? No Olaf, no Cassante. Is it going to be something like the Darius that he's going to be defaulting onto? What does he go for? I don't think Aphelios is a surprise either here, picked up here for 2-Axis. It's just been this sort of solid red side AD carry pick kind of globally.
Yeah, and it's been 2-Axis answer post Draven as well. Picked it up yesterday. I think that it's very safe pairs with a lot of different styles of bot lane. Also, if you want to go for something a bit more sustain oriented, aka the Lulu, you're more than welcome to do so. Yuumi is available still if they want to just pick this one up, and of course opens up the possibility for a more topside centered play, as we've already highlighted. The Gragas here, a triple flex. We've seen Shikael play it a few times, but it can also be taken by Spooder, by Clover 7, to facilitate more action on the top side.
And facilitating more action on the top side, I think Zyra and AD carry that you kind of pick when you want to do that, Rudu.
And also very good versus dive. So Domino have got a chance now to pivot back to a more long-range composition, give Denvoxday a little less value from that Feather Storm. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit if you can get Cask and you can use the Feather Storm to block that. Instead, they play right into the wheelhouse of the Xayah and go with the Vi. I'm not too sure that I like this from Shikael because it's very easy for Denvoxday to ult that telegraphed cease and desist. Nevertheless, if you layer up some CC, you can still kill an AD carry.
And this means that Gragas flex potential has kind of been reduced now. We're thinking it's either going to be going towards Spooder in the top lane, played that a few times last split, or towards Clover 7 in the mid. So Domino will have to sort of reveal their hand a little bit as we get through the rest of this draft. They're going to be starting off the second ban phase, getting away that Gnar actually, so trying to ensure that Spooder's going to have a bit of a better time in terms of the laning phase.
And it depends whether this Gragas is actually top lane, and if they're just banning away safe, or if they're banning away bad matchups for the Gragas, this makes a lot of sense. They can save counter pick for their mid lane, make sure that Clover 7's got that decent matchup, be able to find priority push up against what could very easily be a Jace, and then facilitate a Clover 7 Shikael combo to move further into the game. I respect the Asso ban there. You already see the Gragas, the setup with a Vi as well needs no introduction.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Whilst the combo hasn't really found the success that maybe teams would have wanted so far in the NLC, that doesn't mean that it is without repercussions for the enemy team or merit if you walk into that combo.
You don't want to give them the opportunity to just be able to press our win game. So understandable that we take that one away, specifically since we've already seen Clover 7 with this. Eyes are a little bit drawn toward this bot side because I think the two support picks, weirdly enough, are going to change how this draft plays out a lot more so than the potential flex picks that we've got. If we see two enchanters, likelihood is that we're going to be locked into this bot lane as a 2 versus 2. But we know that when you pick things like a Blitzcrank Thresh, Nautilus, for example, they are much more prolific at finding roams, impacting side lanes.
Yeah, and I think that Nautilus ban, you kind of need to do it against Snarby because he wants to be moving to these side lanes so often, getting out of bot lane and making his impact known on other parts of the map. Rakan going to be able to do that, and also a takeaway from the Xayah lane.
I also love that Rakan, I just love Rakan as a champion, sort of acts as both, can be engaged, can also be disengaged. Just the fluidity and mobility on this champion. You can go between the front and back lines so easily and help out whichever side of the fight is needed. So I like this for Snarby. Doesn't limit his roam potential, but also enables him to both engage and keep the Ophelio safe.
Yeah, and so with this Lulu lock-in, we've got a different style of bot lane coming out here from Nativz. So we're going to be much more focused on getting Voxnay to this late game point where he is going to be a massive hyper carry. And hey, the Lulu paired up with the Jace, not awful as well. So we've got this serial composition coming out here from Nativz where it's like we've got these two AD damage dealers. We're going to keep them alive. We're going to make sure that Domino can't dive and take them down.
And they have a meaty front line as well to try and make Domino chew through with Ornn, with Maokai. I'm actually looking at this Nativz roster and thinking I would really favour an AP Maokai here. 1311 has a really good build path with Imperial Mandate, Demonic Embrace, and Alliandries. Makes face checking brushes actually killer if you end up stepping on one or too many Maokai saplings, specifically when they haven't got a lot of magic damage in this Nativz comp, if we see the likes of a Radiant Virtue come through for Stefan.
And the Taliyah going to be locked in here for Domino. So, Rudu, Taliyah kind of moves around in terms of her positions where she's played on Summoner's Rift, looking like a mid lane pick for Domino here there.
Yeah, got reworked maybe 2 seasons ago to be back into that mid lane, and they really wanted Taliyah to push as a mid laner, move and use the roam style that Taliyah was originally designed for, the one that I think Huhim also popularized way back when in the LCS when he was a mid laner. I love that Domino are really hemming in and focusing down on this bot side. You know, that's going to be the focal point for this game. You have a Gragas and you have a Taliyah, 2 lanes that aren't the easiest to necessarily play for. I will say that the level 6 all-in capability of both of these mid-jungle duos is very high. Cease and desist into a seismic shove over Unraveled Earth is very easy to execute and has high kill threat. Vladdy, when that level 6 marker comes through, needs to either have vision, have those saplings set up by Stefan, or needs to be playing respectfully.
Yeah, absolutely, because this Taliyah is something that Clover7 has played a lot in his sort of short professional career down in the sort of Spanish 3rd division, and the burst potential that can come out with this champion paired up with Vi, it's really disgusting. So I think Domino, you've got a little bit more focus on a single target pick coming out from that mid-jungle duo, whereas Nativz, I favour Maokai, Jace just setting up before a team fight, dropping the CC from the Maokai, the damage from the Jace, make it really hard for you to step into an objective.
Yeah, means that Domino have got, like you say, that objective set up, and if they're ahead, it's going to be so devastating for Nativz to try and claw their way back into this one. Expecting Nativz to have a bit more mobility on the map. I think the Rakan enables that a lot more than a Lulu does, so if you're looking to potentially punish Vladdy in this mid lane, that's a route that they can go to as well. Vi very strong at skirmishing in the early stages, where Maokai a little bit better at the farming, but in those skirmishes is a little more dependent on how well he can play around the brushes, how well those saplings can or can help him out in a fight.
Yeah, and then obviously lane priority is going to be a massive thing for these 3v3s as well. But I'm interested in the general approach to the draft that we've seen from both teams, because we've been talking about Domino as this team where it is about Spooder as this guy who is carrying out to the top side, whereas this is a lot more focused on him. Yes, probably going to be doing a fair bit of damage with the AP build on the Gragas, but a lot more of an enabling piece for his team this kind of round.
I'll slightly challenge you on that, because I don't think that the draft has changed specifically for Domino.
Okay.
The beauty of Spooder has always been that you can just give him Cassante blind, commit very few draft resources to him, and then Spooder still dominates in the top side. It's never been, okay, we're saving R5 Cassante for Spooder and it's going to warp the draft, right? There's the caveat of how powerful Spooder actually is. As 2X is actually stepping a little too close to this Nativz bot side.
Yeah, and this is what you got to be careful against double range early on. They can kind of just do that to you, and Aphelios' level 1 is not great, and with the pressure forward there, 2X is going to have to reset, but he's going to be late to this lane, giving even more priority over to Voxnay and Twist.
So let's see if Voxnay and Twist can get to this bot side, pull the minion wave. They can actually deny a lot of experience from 2 axes. The key to this trick is if you hold and take aggro from all 6 of the minions in the first minion wave, you then drop aggro in the brush, and then the 6 red side minions are going to focus 1 blue side minion, and that should get taken down a lot faster and mean that that experience is denied.
Yeah, you can see Snarby sort of walking up to collect what little of it as he can. But if 2 axes misses out on one of these melee minions, like it looks like he is going to, that's going to mean that the level 2 for this bot lane on the side of Domino is going to come that much later, which really harms the potential of these specific champions.
Especially as you mentioned, Aphelios, rather unique in the sense that when he levels up for the first time, he actually gains access to abilities, right? Level 1, he's a champion with 2 guns, great, but doesn't have that ability to duel particularly well. And the fact that you highlight double range means that Snarby, if he goes in, means that he takes a lot of exit damage as well.
Yeah, and so looking a bit more on the map, we're seeing junglers making their way into sort of their opposite sides of the map. Stefan taking a little bit longer to make his way towards his red buff than Chikale, but with the wave in the position that it is on top side, this is looking like Domino could potentially set up for a play here.
Especially if they're going for a 3 camp. There's an early ward placed by Shikari, got pinged out by Spooder, so the odds are that Chikale knows there's a ward in there if he still wants to go for it. Of course, he has the exact proclivity to do so. But Shikari versus Spooder, this top-side matchup, we heard Spooder yesterday say he values himself as a top laner. At the least, him and Nilla, he knows are the top 2. He's not played against Shikari yet, so he wants to try and size up Shikari this game to see where he can be placed in that power ranking and whether or not he goes down to a top 3.
At the moment, Rudu, it looks like he's trying to make it an unfair fight. Flash away, the follow! Not going to come through from Spooder. Shikale backing away there with the Vault Breaker. I've got to say, though, it looked like Shikari won out on the mind game there.
It really did. Using the flash before using the Searing Charge to safety so that he doesn't give Spooder the space to interrupt with the flash. Exceptional outplay from Shikari on that top side, keeps himself safe, even though his wave is in an awful position.
Yeah, see there. Shikari means big game hunter. That's pretty cool. I mean, Ornn is like... I feel like Ornn is big game himself, you know?
Yeah, I'm here for it, right? You're trying to hunt down big game in on the wilderness. I'm imagining the Australian outback, and you can just use Ornn from 7 miles away to snipe things off, you know?
Oh, you're just there playing your didgeridoo, and a giant ram comes out of nowhere.
Throwing boomerangs, minding your own business.
Can we get some more Australian stereotypes in there?
Yeah, we shouldn't.
Riding on a kangaroo, perhaps. I don't know. Vegemite sandwich. Love Vegemite. Anyway, we've not seen too much action from Shackle in terms of this early game. Yes, there was that look potentially towards topside, but not really able to find anything here. Does the Vine need to be getting some kills on the board soon, or are Domino going to be fine to have this game go a little bit slower?
No, there's an argument to be made for level 6 Vi being way too powerful and you power farming up to there, but I don't mind that Shikale is at the very least flexing into these side lanes and making sure that there's a little bit of pressure exerted, right? The gank top lane did burn Shikari's flash. This sort of pressure shown in the bot side ensures a good recall. Sorry, my bad, Domino. It should have ensured a good recall for 2 axes. Unfortunately, he really greeded his recall, and now it feels like Shikale's time there is just wasted, because the reason you've done that is to make sure that Aphelios can get back to base and have a decent reset timing. That didn't happen. That's time that Shikale could have spent farming, and you can see in the Maokai's, we'll say, CS tally, way ahead of the Vi.
Yeah, and in terms of the bot lane pressure, that's going in favor of Nativz as 2 axes is picking up this wave, recalling under his own tower. The blue side team taking out the first dragon of the game pretty damn early as well.
And just off of bot prio, really, I mean, Vladdy's able to flex a little bit from the mid lane to make sure that there's no interruptions from the Domino side. But with that bot lane priority coming through, the attempted push earlier on, it's a little wasted. I don't want to look at Snobby because I know he's not bot lane.
Of course he's not. He's Snobby. He's level 4. Looking for Shikari, who, low on mana, probably wise decision to back away there. But it's a good look from Domino, recognising that they probably can't get anything bot side and trying to make another play on the other side of the map at least.
Snappy just flexes his head out there and says, Leon has gone disappeared. Expect to go back to that bot lane. You need to make sure that your Aphelios doesn't get dove on this crash down on the bot side. Stefan's already making his way here. They kind of anticipate that there's a Rakan missing, and now 2 axes because Snarby's late is in danger.
That he is. Level 6 is going to be hit. TP is going to come down. The flash away. Double root for the Gravitum as well. Stefan with the charge is going to be able to get one back. Spooder low on mana. Is going to use that cast, get Twist low, but low is not dead. And I think he might do root to Spooder. Still going to be chasing forward with the body slam. Looks like Stefan's going to be the primary target now as Clover7 also moving over. Has that weave as well. The flash from Starby, but he hits no one with the grand entrance. Rooted under tower, but a double knock up from Spooder as Clover7 flashes under the tower for a double kill.
Clover predicts the flash there, and he manages to limp out to safety as well. Twist only gets 1 in response, so it's a great collapse from Domino in the long run. Seismic Shove predicts Stefan's flash, pulls back then Voxnate as well. Really nice execution from the Domino mid laner. We're going to get another look at this one here. Snarby parts Stefan and Twist and check out this W. If there'd been a little more synergy between Spooder and Clover, you would have allowed them both to sort of get pulled back over the Unraveled Earth, and I think that W may have just double killed there and then. Nevertheless, the ends justify the means, and they get that double kill. Now Shikael spots Vladdy.
Yeah, Vladdy probably has no idea why Vi is in his jungle like that. 1 ult committed from the Domino duo, but not the second, so Vladdy's going to be able to walk out of there fairly intact. And whilst Domino were able to get a couple of kills on their mid laner off that play, it's a very feel-good play for them. Vladdy's been able to build up a little bit more of that CS lead. Shikari had some free time in the top side, and so top of your screen, whilst the kills are even, the gold isn't.
Yeah, that was a very heavy response play from Domino, as you mentioned, that Shikari, if there was any pressure that had made him lose out on CS gold advantages in the top side, that's all been neutralized by the Spooder TP, and of course 2 axes lost a lot down on that bot side, being the first one to get dove, had to go into the mid wave and just catch a wave or 2. It's not the same as finding 2 kills and a load of experience as his mid laner was able to do. Now Nativz making their first venture into the top side river. They're starting up this Rift Herald on Vladdy with a serrated Dirk. His power can't be understated.
Yeah, but Stefan is a little bit isolated here by the Herald Pit. Domino full committing here onto the Maokai. They are going to be able to take him down, but 2 axes is the price. And now Shikael on the wrong side of the rift. Snarby also getting knocked into the skies and taken down. Twist moving over the rest of the team as here comes Clover7 as well. Spooder not quite going to connect with that body slam. 1 kill for 2, favouring Nativz as it stands, but Domino are starting up the Herald again.
This is already a big win for Nativz. Domino need to get this Herald to it some way, try and neutralize this sequence of events. Shikael's there, has got smite, but Stefan's beelining it from base as well. 3k on the Herald, and you can see Nativz, they're just chipping away at these health bars.
Yeah, the poke from Vladdy coming in real. The searing charge forward, trying to get the steal. Spooder taken down. Shackle taken down. Clover going to be sleeping with the daisies. It's a double kill for Vladdy, and Nativz looking impervious in this game.
I think that's an overall ace in the long trade. Nativz take down all 5 members of Domino. Yes, the Herald isn't secured by either side, but this is a massive win. They're just running anchor, making Snarby can't get in there. I respect the effort, but good field defending from Stefan and Twist. This whole time, by the way, then Voxnate was farming bot lane. He's now got a 20 CS lead, was able to take down 3 plates on that bot tier 2, where 2 axes rotation resulted in him getting killed and no gold.
And I think it's so incredible, right? That's the difference between these teams over these first 10 minutes has been whenever Nativz go to the play, it feels like Domino overcommit and end up losing out. So not only are Nativz committing less resources, they're getting more from these plays.
And the response here should be, okay, what can Domino do with the Rift Herald? Unfortunately, they weren't able to secure it. Now, with the Drake spawning in 1 minute's time, or 30 seconds even, that's very likely just going to go into Nativ's back pocket.
Oh no, Clover7. Your own jungle is not a safe place to stand, and Vladdy on a rampage on his Jace.
4-0-2. He had a stellar performance yesterday on this pick, and no surprises to see him try and pick this one up once again. I was going to say, get that plate, brother. You earned it. You should be getting that 175 gold. You can use your team's priority in this river to fall back to them at worst case scenario. And Shikael at this point, his only real play is to walk into the top side of Nativ's jungler, potentially look for a dive on Shikari, but even that is absolutely doomsday because you're playing the buy with not a completed item versus an Ornn early game. Diving that is near impossible.
Yeah, and it's an Ornn who has been able to pick up a couple of kills for himself as well, as Nativz going to take the second Drake of the games. The Infernal Rift will come forth, and it's really impressed me how well this Nativz team has seemed to work together, because obviously they took that L to Virgin in the first week. I don't think that was really something that we're going to be disappointed at them for doing, right?
We're not worried about it, yeah.
We're not worried about it, right? But the real worry
Correct.
for me was how would all of these players work together? Because some of them have been on rosters together before, but you're bringing in an entire new team into Summer, and we've seen that not work out in the past. For the moment, Rude Dude, it's looking pretty good for Nativz.
And if you take 1L in week 1 and then bounce back with a 2-0 in the second week, morale very likely to be quite high, and that's, I certainly would assume that they have every right to have that positive thinking going forward. I'm really happy with how the team have combined, and now Twist.
Yeah, being focused down here is Snabby and Shackle both committing the ultimate. The Wild Growth going to keep the Lulu alive. She flashes away. One more of those denting blows would have taken down that little munchkin, but
It might yet still.
she survives for the time being. Devoxday playing an active defense here before the towers. The Moonlight Vigil is going to come down and take out Twist. Featherstorm coming out from Devoxday, and he has somehow thwarted this Domino dive, and he's going to get kills for it. He's going to get 2 kills for it as Clover7 taken down. No, Vladdy steals it away.
Yeah, remember, Devoxday is so fed, even though his kill score may not look the best, he's had free time in this bot lane 2 or 3 times at this point. More than happy to step up, try and defend his support. Unfortunately, Twist does go down to a well-placed Moonlight Vigil from 2 axes, but Nativz again come out on top of the play. This is another crash wave into the bot lane, into a good reset timing for Devoxday. He's going to go back to base, finish off that Kraken Slayer, and probably have a little bit extra to boot.
Yeah, I think he's been looking sort of kind of jealously, maybe a little bit at Vladdy's inventory. He's kind of wanting to match his mid laner in terms of Mythic. He's going to be getting there fairly soon, but for Nativz, I think the next step now is try and take down some of these towers, because you've got a big gold lead for yourself, but you haven't really accelerated the map as much as you maybe could have done.
And I don't think they're pressured to do so, I will say. I think that with how far ahead this team already is, they can just play for a sole win condition, and when they've got that Infernal, they're going to be able to take pretty much whatever they like. Plates haven't even fallen, right? We're talking about this game as though we're vastly accelerated, but the realistic part is that Nativz, they lost that first Herald, which is how you look to try and break open a turret. And I think that if pre-20 minutes, they haven't taken down this outer line of turrets, then yeah, we get a little bit concerned. But for the time being, they're absolutely fine keeping these lane states, because fundamentally they've been out-rotating Domino on the map and outperforming them in the skirmishes.
Yeah, I mean, Vladdy has already got a 50 CS lead over Clover7. He could theoretically stop CSing for about 5 minutes, and he would still be ahead of his opposite number. So yeah, Nativz, I guess, don't really need to push the pedal to the metal as much. Domino definitely need to, and I like that they're still looking for some of these edge case players, as Snabby and Clover7 just sort of hiding there in the jungle of Nativz, looking for a pick onto Vladdy in the mid lane. As the flash, the assist is going to come through, combined with the Weaver's Wall. Every single cooldown onto Vladdy, but he remains stalwart and alive. Nice attempt, Domino, but it was not good enough.
Yeah, Nature's Grasp comes through as well, and Stefan's able to thwart that engage attempt. Nice Wild Growth also keeps Vladdy alive in tandem with that flash. Now then, Voxnay's here, kind of flanking the Domino roster.
Yeah, but he doesn't care at all with that Featherstorm. He's absolutely A-okay to do that. Knows that he's got the damage to contend with anything that Domino can throw at him.
And remember, that bot lane tier 1 turret did fall, so we saw this sort of vertical jungling moment. Damn, that's not okay. That's not okay 15 minutes into the game. We'll brush past that, as though we don't know that Vladdy's an absolute monster this game. Now Nativz, with that bot tier 1 taken, their pressure on the map shifts up to this top side. There are 2 turrets in this top half of the map that they're going to want to take down. With all that pressure in the top side, the Rift Herald spawning at the exact right time, Nativz are moving around the map at the exact correct junctures. They can now go back to base with 30 seconds on a Rift Herald, on a Infernal Dragon, excuse me, and head down to that objective, making sure that they're picking up everything from Domino and giving them no way back into this.
And it feels very by the book. It feels very controlled and standard for all that Domino have done this game to try and knock Nativz off balance a little bit. They haven't felt disrupted. They've been very clean in their execution. They've been very clear in their plans and in their calls. And with this dragon spawning, Domino are in a position where they want to fight to it, but it's going to be so difficult.
And you remember what we said about this composition for Nativz in the draft. If they're ahead, it is so difficult for Domino to ever get close to an objective. Maokai Saplings plus Jace Poke are enough neutral objective setup to last you a lifetime.
Yep. Absolutely. Vladdy going to be caught, though, as Domino once again going for a pick onto the Nativz mid laner, and this time isolated from his squad. He is going to be taken down. That is a massive amount of this gold lead for Nativz, and Domino may feel emboldened to push a little further. TP's going to come through for both top lanes, so we are going to be having a 5v4 around the Dragon. Vladdy respawning in 15 seconds. Snarby looking for a flank.
He's got TP when he respawns, and taking this Drake fight going to be difficult for Nativz.
Oh, Call of Fortune going to be used as Devox, they flashing onto the bot lane of Domino, and he's going to have to pay for it with a load of damage to his own health bar, but Nativz kind of winning on the fight in the middle of the river. Dragon still low. People starting to fall down. Spooder going to drop. There's low mana on 2 axes. Domino, they're just trying to finish the Drake, but Spooder
it's a disaster.
not going to be able to get it. Shikari stealing that one away, and Nativz, they get the Drake, they get the fight. Domino running away, licking their wounds.
Yeah, it would have been hard if it had been a 4 versus 5 the whole time, and even then it actually didn't go as poorly as Domino would have hoped, but Nativz stalled for long enough. Vladdy's TP comes in, they're allowed to reset a fight, take it as a 5 versus 5 and secure the Dragon as well. Ooh. Vladdy going to be able to help take down this tier 2 turret Clover 7. He's just left the base. He's taken 1 Q and 1 accelerated. And he's already got to go back, reset, get that health bar back.
And for Domino here, it's looking rough. This is a fight that you kind of needed to go for, but as well as they played it, it was kind of looking doomed.
I really value Denvoxnay's play in this team fight, because he zones off 2 people on the bot side of the river and makes it a 3 versus 3 for the top side of Nativz in this around the Drake pit. So Denvoxnay using his 2-level lead and item advantage to great effect in that fight to effectively equalize the numbers, even though Nativz were down a member.
Now I'm wondering, how do we start talking about Domino? Because they had this score week last week, and it looks like they're going to be on the other end of that scoreline this time around. Nativz are a top team, but it's kind of just not worked out for them so far this week.
For Domino, yeah, they've certainly struggled, and I think that yesterday's game as well, there's definitely an argument for them to have won that match. Obviously, Ruddy with a very stellar performance to pull a win out, but Domino certainly had their moments in that game to have found a win. For this game, Middlecop, it may well just be chalked up to maybe we've just lost this one, because they're 10k gold behind. It's 18 minutes into a game. This isn't just a major lead by the definitions that we've set in place. This is an absolutely gargantuan one.
Oh, Stefan going to get pulled into the middle of Domino, but I'm sure he's absolutely fine being there. He's killed Snarby. The rest of his team are looking to kill some other people. Shackle going back into the back line to cut down the tree and flashing over the wall to try and escape away from Vladdy, but he will be culled himself. It's another 3-for-1 team fight in favor of Nativz.
And if any team fight was going to illustrate what I just mentioned, it was going to be exactly that one. Stefan went into absolute Narnia and still got back out of the wardrobe and only died to a rogue bite from the back end after the fight. 3 members for 1. They're taking the mid-tier 2 as well. Everything is coming up Nativz, and at this point, Domino, they are out of the water, unfortunately. They're going to be they're just done for.
Yep, pool's closed, unfortunately, lads. In 15 seconds, Baron is going to be spawning, and Nativz are going to be making their way over there. Starby not quite able to get the recall interrupts. It's kind of been that sort of day for Domino, hasn't it?
All of their movements on the map were just matched, and it did come down to those early skirmishes where, unfortunately, they were just outplayed. And that's really fulfilling as a Nativz roster, because there are going to be games that you win on macro, and I think that the Nativz did a really good macro job once they'd already got the leads from those macro interactions, from those small skirmishes that generated them just a little advantage.
Yeah, but it's also nice to know that you do just have these hands as well in these situations. Definitely some positive points here that we could take away for Domino. Clover 7 having a decent performance for himself on this Talia, but post 20 minutes now, Nativz around the Baron as we anticipated, going to be starting this one up soon for Domino. It's a contest that you feel obliged to do more than anything.
This Baron is the nail in the already sealed coffin, right? If they take this, then there is absolutely no way back. If Domino secure this Baron by some miracle, it's a stay of execution. It means they've got 5 more minutes before their game becomes difficult again.
Well, Nativz not really doing a good job of preventing Domino from getting access to the pit. Shackle kind of just on that outer wall chilling. Snarby
Stefan's just tanking it.
looking for something, some sort of engage here as Vladdy is going to ward him away, charge up on the Vault Breaker, but there comes going to come the Nature's Grasp. Shackle going to find it very, very difficult to get into, but he's finally going to get over that wall, but Nativz are winning the fight on the other side. The Baron's going to be stolen away, but as punishment, Domino will get aced. Thievery is not a good idea. Nativz, with a clean game, will be able to end it for sure.
I theorise this day of execution, it may not even be that generous. They secure the Baron, but at what cost, right? Their base is probably going to be in shambles after this one. The soul is going to go to Nativz as well. And it's Shikari, you can see the theory behind Nativz here. Okay, we need to turn, let's stop tanking the Baron. 4-man knock up into massive Maokai engage. Unfortunately, Stefan flashing out of the pit means that they don't secure the Baron, but Nativz, they're more than capable at this point of probably diving turrets, securing a fight as and when they so please, and with that 5-0, the game not over, but over, if you know what I mean?
So, Root, let's play Spot the Difference with the minimap coming out of that replay. Inhib towers taken down in the top and in the mid lane, but Inhib still remaining, so Nativz not going to have the free pressure of those super minions going into the base.
You just said, I'm going to play a game, and you're not invited.
Well, I mean, there are some, like, solitary games, right? Well, you're in my house. I didn't anticipate that I'd have to, like, play all the games with you, right, bro?
Okay, sorry. But nevertheless, Nativz, they managed to secure this Infernal Soul. Shikael, probably dead as well.
Yeah, no, I think you are probably right here. He's going to be able to dash away, but the Nature's Grasp will still root down the Videm Voxday with his 6th kill of the game. And Domino, it's a little bit sad right now. It's a little bit upsetting to watch here. Double kill! And 2axis has just been taken to 30% HP by single accelerated shock blast.
He's going to die here.
Out of Vladdy's cannon! Oh my words!
Yeah.
Incredible stuff from the Nativz mid laner, from the entire squad in purple. As now Clover 7 and Snarby are simply toys for them to play with. Even more kills in the base. Nexus Cow is going to be taken down. Nativz closing out week 2 with a win.
Damn, that was efficient, to say the least. Clinical, maybe, to give it a slightly better nuance. Shikael is the final piece of food, and now just hit the Nexus, Nativz. Come on, we've done the hard work now. Let's just secure the dub. Thank you. 10-1 and 8 for Vladdy's Jace today. Not a bad KDA for week 2, I don't think.
No, not at all.
That is, what a game, I think, as well, right? A 2-0 week for Nativz, pretty much built off the back of this Jace, I think, right? It was also one of the most defining elements of their composition yesterday. Seeing it again today. I mean, also, like, as you guys are talking about, like, the early skirmishing looked really good for Domino for a while. We went back and forth, then we had the 4-on commitment to the bot lane, and then all of a sudden, whatever lead / like parity they have kind of created just kind of like vanished with that triple disaster around the Herald rooted.
It was very much people trying to do stuff, and it just didn't end up working, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, to put a final point on it, I think there's not much else to it. I will say, Nativz, they tried to do things, and those things worked very well. The highlight for me was Den Voxday not appearing at any topside fight that particularly happened through the early stages, getting free farm, and then weirdly, like a role reversal, supporting his support because they were trying to dive under that turret, and Den Voxday goes, "You have to go through me first," and granted, they do get through, but the wall that they're breaking down fought back quite hard.
That wall did fight back. I'm also like, as I said, I write like some notes, right? So before the whole Herald situation happened, I had Snarby's cruise almost cost them dearly, but they got back with the double kill from Clover. Because it did seem like Snarby's like this cruise ship, but he just like leaves his passenger, aka his bot laner, just like on like the starting destination, just never really picks them up. And then like he like tries to come back because he realizes that he's kind of left something very important, and that very important thing being his bot laner, right, to a certain extent.
He's just like there on like the deck, on like the swimming pool that they've got on top, having a whale of a time. It's like, there's something I've forgotten. There's something that I should have done, maybe. But It's a play style that does work and has worked for them before. Obviously, it's a rough week for Domino finishing up 0-2, but I was impressed by their tenacity this game. It never felt like Domino felt like they were out of this game. They were constantly trying to make stuff happen, and credit to Nativz for having very strong responses to that, but you don't win, you don't come back into these games if you don't try. And I think Domino, at the very, very least, they tried to win this game even when it looked completely dire for them.
I'm always a fan of a team who will make proactive plays even when they're behind. My pet peeve of League of Legends is, so I can't remember who said this, but they equivalated it to the LCK special, where they go 1k goal down and they just handshake their Nexus away. Like, they do nothing throughout the rest of the game. You're like, well, you won the first 5 minutes of the game. We have no way to come back into this one. I'm always a fan of teams like Domino exhibited right here that can recognize, if we're going to get back into this game, this is how we do it. Yes, it's a odds aren't in our favor type situation, but we should do it anyway.
Yeah, and also, guys, something important here. Let's talk about who was the most valuable player on this Rift right now in this game, because there are a few talking points in that regard, right? Because like you could look at Vladdy's scoreline and be like, well, that's pretty valuable.
No.
My camera is slowly falling over.
You can do this. You can do this. I'm gonna take the reins. I think Vladdy, it's the easy answer, but I think that it's justified, honestly, because he just absolutely dominated on the Jace. He was able to establish that mid prior. We talked about the mid jungle duo being the most important part of this game, how it was going to be the Stefan special and how well he could pair up with Vladdy and completely shut down Clover 7. That happened, and it happened tenfold, so I'm more than happy for that.
Also, like, something that I want to talk about, right, is that on the tier list stream that we did last week before the start of the season, you remember there was some talk about how that Nativz was probably the roster between them and Verdant going into the split, just because of like the time it would take them to build up the synergy. But now, like, it looks like they are this well-oiled machine. That's pretty hard to say, guys. I don't think you should take that as a part of your. Maybe that's one for the vocal one about
that's
that.
That's
my
tongue twisters for the morning. Don't worry.
Well,
yeah, tongue twisters.
They do, right? I agree with you. I think the defining characteristic of this game, perhaps more so than Domino's continued attempts to come back into it, was how futile they felt against the way that Nativz are playing. Like, it was so difficult for you to actually find an angle against this team. Devoxday was just chilling the entire time. Vladdy was doing immense amounts of damage. It really didn't feel like there was an angle that Domino had sort of post 5 minutes to get something up on Nativz.
Absolutely. And someone that had a grand old time in the bot lane chilling this game is Voxness. Someone I feel like I'm speaking to on a daily basis almost. We have an interview video with him right here. So, yet again, hello. Long time no see.
yeah. Like less than 24 hours and I'm already back here doing another interview.
How does it feel? Like, you must be like sort of tired of having to do these interviews all the time, or are you offering yourself up for these?
I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying myself getting to talk about the game. It's all good. So I don't know, my teammates. I don't know if they can't afford a webcam or whatever, but I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a good time.
Great, love that. So also, speaking of enjoying yourself, you were just like kind of just sitting in the bot lane for a while in terms of the mid game, and just like farming the plates, not really being forced to engage with any of the fights here. So, how was it how was this game from your perspective in that regard?
Yeah, like I think already when you have the Maokai Chase, you know, your hard out range, like you have crazy long range poke, the saplings, the QEs from the Jace. So I am playing more low range AD carry, but I'm good if they run into us. They had a lot of like champions that wanted to engage, like Rakan and Vi and Gragas to some extent. So my job was kind of to deal with them. And at some point, Vladdy got too fed to where they were not even able to run into us at all. So I was just standing there doing nothing. So I pretty much didn't really have to do anything this game. I just hit the minions and hit anyone that was in front of me. But usually they were already dead before that happened. So honestly, a nice chill one.
What are we saying? Are we saying nerf Jace, or what's the status here, right? Because when you're like 15 minutes into the game and he's just like he's like taking off like 50% of the HP from the enemy AD carry, kind of speaks testament to how strong Vladdy was this game.
Yeah, Vladdy was popping off. I think as long as you're harder, like we just had a lot more range than they did, and we had a lot of disengage, like Lulu and Maokai, even like Ornn, good frontliner, right? So like it's just, I prefer our draft. Obviously, that's what we prepared. We were ready for what they came to the table with. Like as long as we're gonna get these picks, we're gonna maybe keep playing them. Like you can test us, you can maybe try to ban them. Like we played it twice in a row. Like give it to us again. I'm down. Yeah.
I mean, Vanilla tried to test you yesterday by picking up the Seraphine bot lane to a certain extent, right? Yeah. So, I mean, they are trying to test you. So
that didn't work well either. So, what can you do? What can you do?
So obviously you ran into you had the loss against Nativz, not against Nativz, it's hard to lose to yourself. I mean, you can lose to yourself obviously in a game of League, but you lost to Verdant last week, right? But now you have the 2-0 victory, 3-1 after the first 2 weeks here. Are you guys happy with how you performed on like, not on a result scale, but like in terms of like what you've been showcasing as a team on like a performance level?
I wouldn't say so quite. Like we are still messing up things we shouldn't be messing up, or like giving them our opponents like small chances to get back into the game, or just not being as clean with it as I think we should be. I think I just think like it needs to be crisp. It needs to be like this is 100% in the bag. Right now it feels like it's 99% in the bag, but we're like, oh, why did Vi get Nash, for example, this game? Or why did Vladdy get caught before third Drake? Like obviously it doesn't matter. We were so far ahead. We were just gonna stomp anyway. But like those things, they need to be clean. Overall, I think I am quite happy. I think we played decent the first week, and we didn't have that. Oh, whoops! I just knocked my head.
It's fine. It's all good.
The first week, I think we played fine, but it was the first week. It's hard to know. We didn't really have a good read on the meta yet. We were just like trying the stuff we had tried in scrims, and it's just it's just a flip. Like to be fair, like it's just a flip. Like we played fine, but like nothing spectacular, and I think we're looking to, I guess, address those things and moving forward. So, yeah, it's just gonna be more clean.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, and yet again, congratulations on your 2-0 victory, 2-0 week this time around. We're going to jump directly into the next interview here with the top laner, Spuda. Also someone I feel like I speak to on a daily basis this time around here. And again, as always, the best dressed man in the NLC. Like, I even tried to like dress up a little bit here. Like, I'm rocking the long sleeve shirt this time around, but I feel like you still got me with that waistcoat. So,
wow. You look really good in that shirt. Like, that shirt is so fancy. Maybe send one to me, please. I can wear it.
I can ship you the link afterwards if you want it. But okay. So this game, a bit of a wishy-washy game in the middle, right? Like in the early game to start with. This game was kind of all over the place. Like it was really fun to watch, really high feel, a lot of skirmishing, and then you guys kind of got like put under the pedal a little bit and just kind of got mashed into the ground. Kind of what happened?
Exactly. Like early game, there were some unfortunate things happen, so we had to adapt our game plan. Be like, okay, let's look for this top lane instead, because there was like a level 1 thing where it happened bot, so we had to go back to top lane, look for that, and then, I messed up my E-flash. It was a good respect from Shikari, like he played pretty good with the E-flash instantly, so we didn't get anything there, and then we got a TP off on bot, and we got some kills, but we lost some plates tops on farm, and we also lost some farm and plates in mid, so it kind of ended up with them just, slowly getting ahead, and us not getting anything back, so they were just, 300, and this would eventually go on until we couldn't contest anymore, right? And we had to look for these, like, cheesy picks, but the issue is that they were aware of it, like, they were played it, smart, they realized that, like, oh, they should be playing a topside here, so they respected it, and we didn't get very much done with it. So basically,
that's awesome. So also something we talked about yesterday was that you believe that you were the second best, or at least top 2 top laners. Now you got the chance to play against Shikari. Has that kind of altered your opinion on where you stand now?
I don't think so, actually. I think Shikari played it really smart. He was like really respectful, and I think he has very good like macro, and he can play the game slow, and he has the more experience, and he understands the game better. But I think the mechanical aspect and the laning phase, I would still put Nille and me at the top there.
Awesome. Also, let's end this interview on a bit of a down note, right? But you had a 2-0 week last week. This time around an 0-2 week. What's the What do you think you guys will have to work on going into next week to kind of try to re-achieve that 2-0 week?
Like know more what's supposed to happen and how to make these things happen, right? We get a good game plan, we make these things happen, get better, fight, better mechanical execution, because that was the issue yesterday, right? So when we get a good game plan, we execute it flawlessly, that's when we'll see ourselves pop off, like first week, have a good plan, slowly get the leads, and then not give away anything to your opponent, and then just slowly choke them out until they lose the game.
Thank you so much for this interview, Sputter. Maybe we'll talk again next week. I feel like we speak on a daily basis, as I said at the start of the interview. So, again, go back to your team, talk everything out, and thank you so much for your time. Meanwhile, if we're on the broadcast, we will be taking a short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with even more action from the NLC.